earning money from finance, you can't be using a phone or talking to them. You could be testifying before this committee that you gave the auditors letters you wrote to finance demanding for this money and there were no response. That's the biggest weapon you have. And I don't know whether you can reduce that to this committee. Secondly, if you go ahead with the other queries, Mr. Chairman, still you are going to find another challenge on your side. When you go to query 211, they are talking about mobility of judicial officers, that they have no vehicles. Because this committee cannot commit, say, don't repair judicial officers' vehicles. But that's about your planning, budgeting. Because you know they have vehicles. That's why I raised the other matter before. So could you adduce, if the chairman can permit, because those are his powers, any document you gave finance demanding for the same and confirm? Because you cannot have gone to those rented premises without assurance of funds and you demanding if they don't meet the obligation. That's why I'm using the term documentary evidence, since you are the judicial officers. Could you help us on that?
Chair, just the financial review?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
You did. How much was it?
I don't have the figures of cash. If you allow me and ask my accountant to tell us how much we got.
And you know, without much explanation, you know what a warrant tells you to do. And you know what to do. Now I'm coming to it because we are going to settle it in two. Yes, we are going to settle it in two.
Of the financial statement, commentary of head of account, it details out what the vote received.
How much? Just tell us the figure.
392 billion
Yes.
as revised budget, and release was 362.6.
No, I'm not talking about, I know the budget, but I'm now speaking to a warrant, and then I'm going to ask you to tell us how much you utilize. Because the warrant is the final instruction to you, that you now have this ceiling, go and spend. And you cannot spend beyond a warrant. Any expenditure beyond the warrant, you know what it means. So you went ahead and spent money beyond a warrant. Why we are saying so is that this culture of areas is becoming a problem. The areas in the consolidated account are 2 trillion. 2 trillion in the consolidated account. And we are now coming hard on agencies that are accumulating these areas. They ignore warrants, they ignore instructions from finance, and go and commit government. The law doesn't speak to it. You offend the law. And that's why you're now speaking about your areas are 13 billion. 13 billion. I've looked at the composition of the 13 billion, and it will make you sad. As you speak for the gown, you buy the gowns, you quickly settle. You don't pay for rent where your courts are. These have been over the previous. Honorable colleagues, you go to from page 6 of the financials, and you see where these 13 billion come from. How can judiciary buy a battery and don't pay? Here, you have areas of batteries in Mukono. Batteries for vehicles and you don't pay? So as you pass with the car of CJ, the battery man is there saying that one. So that one has not paid for my battery. So the list is here of things you have not paid, and this 10 billion, you seem to be carrying it over and over and over and over. And it is, so sir, you are very senior, and me have utmost respect to you for what you have accomplished. This is bad planning. It's bad management.
Chair, I can tell you that if finance, they have promised that the money, this will be sorted out. And we shall not go into other expenses unless.
But every year you receive a budget call circular. You know, you receive a budget call circular. They tell you the ceiling of money you have, okay? And in the budget call circular, to plan and spend money as per that call circular. You leave areas unbudgeted for.
No, sir. These areas have always been, has not provided the funds.
No, that's not finance. Don't put it on finance. Finance every year gives you a budget call circular.
Yes.
And they tell you, Mr. Accounting Officer, your budget.
Yes.
Now, when you get a budget, you have people who owe you money. Why don't you prioritize them in response to a budget call circular? Because you see, normal thing, you have a debt at the grocery next door. You have received the money to say this month you have this amount of money. How on earth do you ignore it? And say, you know, me, I will move. Me, I will. The other grocery man can. You can't do it even in the ordinary sense of things. And then you come and say, finance doesn't. It gives a call circular. Why don't you say areas are statutory obligation for you?
Mr. Chair, are the areas that have been even submitted to finance. And they say that are going to give us money under domestic areas. And they have not given us the money.
Mr. Chairman, you see, we are, I think the auditors, they have said they have given areas to finance. Finance has confirmed the giving. It can't be in words. And we cannot move a committee, Mr. Accounting Officer, in that form. You have your documents. You came with all these people. What are they helping you? Because as you prepare to come to this committee, you prepare your documents. Chair, you are responding. The chair has asked for a warrant, not produced. I asked for letters, finance, not produced. But you are writing to them. How do we move on like this? Because the chair said you have to spend less time on you. There is no way we can solve your problems or challenges in the audit quiz without tabling evidence that might have been denied on your side by the auditors. And Mr. Chairman, we can't move like this. So I would pray that if they fail to produce that, kindly make a ruling on that matter, we move on. Because it is within their interest to table all that evidence. By the way, Mr. Chairman, let me tell you, those courts you see in Kampala, where this unit has been renting, they are not rented from local people like Isewung and other types. They are people highly placed. When you talk about 20 plus, I don't think they went there by mere going. Not everyone can get that chance. And that kind of person cannot fail to get his money in time. All her money. So, Mr. Chairman, kindly drive us, we rule. If they can produce those documents, we move. Otherwise,
Chair, can you give me supplementary evidence which is talking about? It is here.
You can speak to the document, Mr. Chairman, through you. He speaks the document, what does it say? And then we see whether it's correct or not.
Chair,
but Pius is becoming annoyed now.
Chair, that you've referred us to in regard to new domestic arrears incurred in the financial 2023-24. The PS received a budget execution circular where the Ministry of Finance informed and gave a directive to all accounting officers not to proceed to commit their entities at all on committing, on new transactions without funding. So I wonder why the PS continues to help government. You complain about the Ministry of Finance not giving you money, but it is the same ministry that gave you a budget execution circular and instructed you not to commit your entity on any transaction where you don't have money. So I wonder where the PS gets the mandate to commit the judiciary to new transactions where he's very sure that he doesn't have the money. Two, he needs to explain why we continue to pay rent for Tweedy Towers when your appellate court building was completed? Why do we continue to pay rent for Tweed?
Chair.
The law is very clear. Whether there is a circular from the PSST or whatever reason, the Public Finance Management Act is the law that actually governs these whole expenditures. And Section 20 is very clear. Is it 21? Yeah. So that's what we should actually be focusing on, not circulars from the PSST or not. Because it clearly says unless your money, maybe you don't have the money, but the money was appropriated by Parliament for that financial year. Yeah. Can I read it for you? Can I read it for you?
I'm finished.
Thank you, Chair.
So
Started with a very good expression of happiness for the good work that the judiciary is doing. I thought this should have also moved on, including the explanations. But Chair, I am worried. We needed to hear from the planner. All these issues we are raising, whether they are part of the inconvenience he has on his desk. Chair, yes, recently the country was excited. We received many new judicial officers elevated, and that is answering to the call of the country. I am worried that even those ones, all their new requirements to assume office might end up being a query here. Because you need the wigs, you need the clothing, you need the vehicles. They might end up coming here as a query immediately. So was that planned for? We need to hear from the planner. This distress situation you're going through, is it going to continue as a recurrent issue? Because finance is running away. Finance emphasizes, as we emphasize here, to stick to the Public Finance Management Act. And that is why those communications Honorable Sewungu asked are very important. Clear yourself by putting pressure on them. Let them also, you always have meetings with the PSST. Why doesn't he give that response in line with the arguments you put before him? Thank you.
yes, Honorable.
That should be questioned. I have got a problem at hand, and I'm telling finance I have got a problem, and you are not coming to help me. And let's be realistic. And I have put this question to you, members of Parliament. The contractual obligation. We've signed a contract. We are accommodating Court of Appeal. We are accommodating Supreme Court in rated places. And on the understanding that finance is going to avail funds, and they don't give us the money. What do you want me to do? Assume you are the one. What do? You tell the judges, get out. We have to leave this place. What do? Let's be understanding. I think that's the dilemma I have. And I'm going to continue accumulating areas. Let me promise you. I'm going to continue accumulating areas of
Chairman,
rent
put
if I don't
it
get the
better.
money.
Put it better. You are going to continue breaking the law.
Yes, I will go to Ruzira.
No. Put it better. That before this Parliament, you are before legislators saying, and the head of judiciary, is that you are going to spearhead breaking the law.
Mr. Chairman, that's not what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
I'm only saying that I'm not going to remove judicial officers from their chambers.
No, what I'm saying, you are here affirming. No, sir. You are here. You've just come. You are here. You are here. Yes, I've just seen you come in. First, settle down and have a little bit, and catch the mood of the meeting. Sir, you want to speak to this committee that you are going to offend the law, and you are head of counting office of judiciary.
The alternative offices and get the judges out. Then
No, that's not what I'm saying. Do you want to speak on record that you are going to offend the law?
I am not going to offend the law. I am not going to offend the law. I am going to close offices. And the implication is for that, for the country. I'm going to close offices. It's not a threat. I am going to tell the landlord close offices. And the implication is that cases will not move on. That's what it means. And I read from here. If you, members of parliament, insist that I am offending the law, I am going to close the offices.
Yeah,
There's no problem.
Chair, I think let's allow people to express themselves, because I see no harm in the accounting officer speaking his mind and telling us that these are his challenges, and therefore the office must run, and he's ready to go to Luzira if what he's doing is not is to enable the judiciary to run. He's free to express his opinion as to whether the what repercussions he will face. That's a different matter, but he's free. But the issue that I wanted to raise, PS, you have said that you cannot force judicial officers out of their chambers. And this is what I want to find out. Do you have adequate space to accommodate all the judicial officers in the buildings that were commissioned last year? If you have adequate space, can you prove to this committee that you have written to judicial officers indicating when they should all prepare to vacate those other premises where you are paying rent? Can you provide proof to that effect? Because I don't see how somebody, a judicial officer, is told that now we have space in this building where we don't have to incur rent, and the judicial officer says, I'm not moving. So let the judicial officer meet that cost. So I want to find out from the accounting officer, do you have adequate space? Can you justify the continued renting of premises with all the buildings that the president commissioned last year? Thank you.
I'm not speaking about rent alone, because for you it's as if you're showing that all the domestic arrears are about rent. When you look at your list of the accumulated arrears in the financial 23-24, Mr. PS, the rent is only 2.8 billion, and we are talking about 3-point-something billion. So also speak to these cleaning services where you commit yourself. Talk about the Nina interiors. These are new transactions. So let us not look at rent as if it's the only item that has domestic, where you have accrued domestic arrears. So let us be realistic. Yes, we might appreciate that we have challenges with renting, but there are new areas where you've continued to commit your entity. So you must also answer to these others, apart from the rent.
Chair, just a small issue. I really hope that maybe you're under pressure. You could also tell us that there are instructions from above for you not to vacate, because these properties are owned by very powerful people. Maybe you are under pressure not to vacate because that is somebody's income. You could also tell us.
Chair, do I have the floor? If I talk like a stranger here, you tolerate me, tolerate my strange language. But to really emphasize this point, and we have not been accumulating really a lot of domestic areas since 2023. Now, the question Honorable has asked, maybe let's make it very clear. The Court of Appeal is the one which moved from 20 towers. But we have got other divisions in trade towers. We have got civil division, we have got land division, we have got those two. Then we have got anti-corruption court, we have got international crimes division. All of these we are renting. So, and then force other upcountry chambers. So it would be really not, I would be deceiving you, by the way, that these offices are going to be closed. But I'm saying if you have the powers, if you say as a committee, you say stop committing government, get those offices out, I'll humbly go and tell the landlord the contract cannot continue, please close your offices. But I'm saying if you do that, there are implications for the country. Do you want to choose that direction, or you want to choose to help me to tell finance to give me the money? I think the latter is better. Please help me to tell finance to give me money. You have done a good service for this country.
I beg.
Asked whether there is space to accommodate now the civil division, the lands division that you're talking about, the anti-corruption. Is there space available to accommodate these people in the new premises of court that you actually commissioned?
The answer.
But one of the areas you accumulated this year is for cleaning. A whooping 300 million for people cleaning your office. Small people who clean. Let me be crude. Who go out and clean the toilet? Where you go, you don't pay. Can you believe you can't pay cleaner? And don't give so much of an excuse of because I've seen here, of the money you budgeted, the fund you are given, only 28 billion was not availed to you. You get it? Only 28 billion was not availed to you. The rest of the money, as per the budget, actually, you are one of the lucky institutions. You are near above 95% in the provision of your budget allocation, because you are judiciary, and you know what normally happens to judiciary. But among the monies that you did not, that were unpaid for, the details are there. Cleaning is not there. You go and you take a loan from Nina, put curtains, you don't pay. I've seen here Nina Enterprise. So the curtains in you, they are. So I don't care who they.
Mama Baba's in 2016 and
Logistics. I think these are car small repairs to a tune of 250. Imagine you are running a business, and this is the damage you are doing to businesses in Uganda. They are closing because you go there, they give you their services, they have imported products, you don't pay.
Chairman, I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with
the rest of the money you received.
Chair,
and you did not pay for this money for which you had budgeted for cleaning.
Chair,
let me zero on cleaning.
Chair,
can you be in the home and you don't pay somebody cleaning your toilet?
Can I request you, if you look what you made, you, members of parliament, do you see anywhere in the budget lines domestic areas? Check. If it is there and I didn't pay, then you forward to me.
The letters he gave you don't match with the query. They are not anywhere related to the query. So we can't put them on record as having adduced evidence to us. And secondly, there is nothing wrong if in your records here, you have not even produced any letter of your tenant, is it called a tenant of Trade Plaza demanding for his money. There's no record on, there's no attachment here. So for us, we could look at a query, Mr. Chairman, basing on evidence attached to the query. If letters, all the letters we are seeing in Annex 1B, they are not related to the query we are handling. Secondly, when you talk about Nina Interior, but still in their statement of accounts, they spent 639 million on buying a water vessel. What is the water vessel for? You have it here on your record. The MP is there. Okay. So it's for Karanga. No, but
Honorable Sir, can you hear from?
I want to, Chairman, I want to propose.
Mr. Chairman, before
you
PS,
are the last one on this
before
query,
PS
and we proceed.
comes in. Mr. Chairman,
Key query is on the overall areas of government of 2 trillion. Finance will give, but given my history of budgeting, which is commendable, about 10 years. These accumulation of areas are largely driven by failure of accounting officers, one, to stick to the law, which is the Public Finance Management Act. Secondly, failure to stick to a budget call circular, and failure to stick to warrants. They operate out of those three and accumulate areas. So the beginning and the end of it is, I don't want to call my senior here, and I don't want to use some small level of indiscipline by accounting officer. I'm saying very mild, some level of it, and I see the impunity in the language the senior officer is using. But the query is sustained. Can we proceed to that query is sustained? Rent paper, they'll bring you a whole box. So they'll do so. So let's sustain that query.
But it's okay. Since you have promised you're going to talk to finance, it's okay.
There is a schedule even. I've seen a schedule inside.
Yeah, there is a schedule.
There is a schedule. We've seen it.
The schedule is there of the people they owe money. It's there. So let's proceed to 2.1, sir. And 2.1, I will not even waste a lot of your time. I'm going to take you to page, maybe I'll rush you, but I'm going to take you to page, which page is this? Page 11 and page 10. Implementation of funded activities.
I will request the acting CR, Chief Registrar, to...
Can I, because of time, explain to you what the query there is? Because you may give us explanation and it will take a lot of time. The query there is, you got money for activities and outputs, and you received all that money for those planned activities. Some, quite a number, you fully implemented. And let me read. 4 outputs, you had 17 outputs with 100 activities worth 304.9 billion. 4 outputs with 26 activities and expenditure of 62 billion were fully implemented. 13 outputs with 74 activities with an expenditure of worth 23.4 billion were partially implemented. Out of the 74 activities, the entity fully implemented 58 activities worth 177 billion, while 16, this is where the query is, while 16 with the 65 billion were partially implemented. So the query is that you spent 65 billion and you partially implemented activities that would have done. And why we are so keen on this, because these activities, they are at the core of your service delivery. This is why we score you. For all the gowns we buy, for all the vehicles we buy, for all the rent we pay, for everything. This is where our people are. Can I take you through as an example, because I'm not going to go through as a whole. You had an activity of disposal of cases at Court of Appeal. You were allocated 4.8 billion. You got all the money, and you spent all the money. But this is the case where it is. You had planned to do 1,012 cases at a cost of 4.87 billion. Despite receiving all the funds, only 921 cases were disposed of, leaving 91 cases that were not handled, and you received all the money. So these cases go up to number 9, and these are at the core of service delivery, and they were funded 100%. You've got to account for every single penny of that money before this committee. And can I tell you what you told, because I want to be brief. You said the accounting officer, you explained, is that you explained and said that these budgeted and planned activities are not normally accurate. And in the actual implementations, prices vary. But the auditor indicted you. He said you do not have evidence. I noted the Auditor General's explanation. However, evidence of this was not provided. That's why we are now taking you on. Had you provided the evidence and everything else, the price variations and blah, blah, and I'll make your case very simple. I don't know whether I have my figure here. To make you why we need you to come good on it. So, honorable colleagues, I'm making it very simple. On item 1, the 90 activities, we did a unit cost. Okay? If it is 4.8 billion and we had planned to spend to do 112 activities, we do a unit cost. 1,000. We do a unit cost. And we use that unit cost to calculate, to multiply with the 91 activities, which you didn't do. So for the first item, you had 403 million, which you spent and failed to do activities. For the second items, criminal case disposal of the Supreme Court, you did not spend money for 15 cases, which amounts to 447 million. For item number 3, land case disposal of the land division, you did not do activities for 1,186, worth 500 million and 30. For 4, family cases disposal at the family division, you did not do activities for 1,622, worth 289 million. For international crime division cases disposal, you did not do activities for 12 cases and worth 236 million. For anti-corruption cases disposal, you did not do activities for 151 cases, worth 690. For breastfeeding and children play rooms established for the workers, you did not do activities for 5, worth 488 million. No, don't lose heart, be calm. Now, for disposal of cases of high court circuits, Honorable PS, just listen, you did not do activities for 3,824, worth 2.5 billion. Now, the net loss, I'll compound it for you. Number 9, I've done it. It is high court circuit. Yes, they do not do they don't do those circuits for 3,824. Actually, here you did how many? Very, very few. Judiciary planned to dispose of 25 and 60. Despite receiving all the funds, only 21,000 activities were done. So the difference here is 2.5 billion. Now, the total amount of money which you got spent and didn't do work is 5.583 billion. That's a query.
Chair.
Can you first give them my room to explain?
Chair, First of all, I want to find out, is the Auditor General here? Because the reason I'm asking why they are here, I gave them an explanation. It seems they did not maybe buy my explanation. And I want to request you to buy my explanation. Yes, because I thought you made a lot of sense to the Auditor General. I think he did not take our explanation. When you unpack the cost of the inputs to these cases, you've got witnesses, you've got assessors, you've got state briefs, you've got interpreters, you've got locus vist. Now, when you unpack all of this, you will find that actually it explains why this was not done. But I will ask the CR to put some little meat so that you can really buy our explanation.
So let me ask as you come in, is this an annual activity that every other year you do it?
But allow her to explain.
No. You see, as you allow her, is it something that you do year after year?
Yes.
And over time you've accumulated evidence and a trend analysis?
Yes.
And in planning you input that?
Chair, I will give an explanation as to why it cannot be the same. And that's why I want her to take us through what I have highlighted. Allow her to take us.
No, I'm allowing her. Actually, I'm making ground for her to explain. One, she's got to justify to this committee that in the planning process, you don't consider, not scenario. Is it scenario building? No. You don't consider a track record. I'm not putting it professional. There's another word in economics. Yes, is that over time, if I've done activities every other year, I fairly know what it costs, and I can predict and come up with. That's why you have a planning department, and that's what budgeting is about. Costed activities must be meticulously evaluated and planned and inputted from the budget call circular to budget framework paper to ministerial policy statement. And this you do it every year.
Chair.
Was there a disaster?
Chair, why don't you allow her to talk about it? I know you agree with us.
Okay, explain.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Here is to unpack the cost of inputs, and this is coming from our management response that said that the funds budgeted for case disposal are always an estimate, and therefore the disposal depends on the cost of inputs into the case, which vary given the unique circumstances or requirements. So, Chair, I am going to unpack the cost of inputs mentioned in our management response. And the first cost of input is, we are talking about witnesses, Chair.
But
when we are...
time is a scarce resource. I actually want to stop you in those tracks. Okay. All these things you want to unpack are predictable. You've done it, not for 1 year, not for years, for decades. Nothing is so unique. That's why the Auditor General, that explanation acknowledges your explanation and says you never provided me with evidence to show that those things are right. So your literature, we know.
Your statement. As we face each other. One, these auditors who are staff of parliament, they audit depending on what you prepared. Secondly, it's you judiciary who are supposed to supervise these judges or magistrates. Let me tell you, recently we were passing judges, and I cannot mention names of some of them. You have judges who have spent years at stations and they have not led a single judgment, but they have been there. And people had brought petitions here against them as they were vetting them. I can't mention them. Whose work is that, Mr. Chairman? When you go to the legal fraternity. They have all these issues. They are complaining about their cases which have not been disposed of. And that's why these queries are appearing here. Hence, meaning your role is not fully catered. You are not supervising your people. Even as primary teachers, the teachers check for our schemes, they look for our lesson plans, they say we're supposed to teach SSD 7 times a week. They must see the lesson plans I put in my book, teaching the children of the country. So anything, Mr. Chairman, there is nothing you can defend here if you prepare this and the money was released, but they are showing you cases that you are disposed. The weakness is on those judicial officers who never concluded the cases, and they have been given higher offices now. Have you commented about their performance? Have you raised the red flag against them? That evidence is there in the public domain.
Okay.
Chair, can you kindly, because you see, if you don't hear from us, you will not understand properly where I'm coming from. Chair, we've got witnesses. We have got witnesses. We have got witnesses. There are 2 types of witnesses. There are ordinary witnesses and there are expert witnesses. The number of witnesses, their designation and location is not known to judiciary at the point of budgeting for these sessions. You cannot dream that I'm going to have, depending on the case, then the courts work with estimates, and that explains the expenditure which is against these outputs. For example, at the time of commission of the offense, all witnesses may be in one jurisdiction. When time comes, at the trial, some of them have relocated and transferred to other places. And this is very, very common with expert witnesses. And investigators from police have to increase on the cost. So if you look at the witnesses alone, you cannot predict that these witnesses will be the one to come to court. And therefore, the estimate might be actually lower or higher, depending on the case. Then you have got assessors. Assessors are required in all criminal trials in the High Court, and they paid for their participation in the trials. Chair, we have got interpreters. Some cases require interpreters in languages that must be outsourced. And this too comes at a fee. Before commencement of the trial, court may not know the different languages that may be required. Then you have got locus vista. You just go to the land. You don't know how big the land is. You don't know the details. Then you have got areas where there is actually insecurity as a result of the land. You have to provide security to go with these people. All of these require funds. So, Mr. Chairman, we cannot be exact and say this is the money that we are going to spend on these cases. All that we do is to estimate, minus or plus.
You see, our point is